Hi and welcome back to the channel. This is just a quick one. This is I've just done this as an Ask Matt, and I had a comment that come through to me that I did a video last week, and I'll put the link below which video it was, which was about the throw release. Okay, I did a thing called roll release versus throw release, and they're both correct. You can do them both ways if you want to. It's entirely up to you. I just know the one that I prefer is the throw release. Okay, how the right hand works. The right hand works as a throwing motion through the swing. But some people are saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't just turn the hands and turn it this way and so on. But there's a few other factors. It's really happening, this throw action or the throw motion really happens through this part of the swing, okay? After that, during other parts, there is a slight rotation or slight movement, okay? And they're all because of the arms rotate, okay? My arms internally and externally rotate in their shoulder sockets at some point, okay? And it's when the club pivots, and I've done another video and I'll put that in the link below as well. But when my club pivots, if I take the club back here, my right hand hinges in this manner, okay? So it's hinging back and forth, like so. But during the stroke, there's going to be a point when the club head pivots past the hands, and it has an appearance of my right arm also pivots in its shoulder socket. Can you see that? Now, the club face looks conventional here. It looks like it's in line with my left forearm, let's say roughly, and it's not closed to the sky, which I think some people think we're getting wrong. You need to go like this constantly to keep it right. But there is a point, see how it's hinging back and forth here? There is a point where it pivots past my hands and pivots over my hands, and my right arm also externally rotates in its shoulder socket. Now on the way down, what happens, as I pull the club down, I'm going to tip the momentum of the club out, and that's going to make my right arm internally rotate, and then gets my hand back to this throwing motion again on the way through, okay? Bang. So that's what happens there. So just to show you from here, hand works back and forth this way, so it's hinging back and forth this way, but there's going to be a point where it pivots, the club head pivots over the club and over my hands, and then my right arm is going to pivot in its shoulder, it's going to pivot in its shoulder socket, and this gets the club back out in front of me. But then when I swing down, my hands come down, the club head starts to tip back out again, and this makes my right arm rotate in its shoulder socket on the way down. And you can see how this gets the club back in the position where I want it to be, where it was on the way back, to then release on the way through, okay? Same on the follow through as well. So right hand, I talk about how this hinges as a chopping motion. So as I swing back and through, it chops, okay? And it accommodates my right hand. But again, at this point on the way through, okay, again, this now starts to rotate because the club head wants to pivot over the hands. So over the hands this way, wants to pivot. And then after that, my left shoulder, my left arm wants to rotate in the left shoulder socket as well, okay? So there's two pivot points, if that makes sense. Ideally, when I've done it, again, I'll put another link down below of another video, but when I swing back, my left arm also rotates in its shoulder socket on the way back, and then on the way down, that rotates, and this is what we call turn. Sorry about that. I had video technical problems. I was chatting away nicely away there, and the video just cut off for whatever reason. It is like pitch black out here now. It don't look like it on the camera, but it's very, very dark. So I was talking about how the left arm, that also rotates in the swing as well on the forward swing. So what I want you to try to remember, this is like I said, it's as though I'm stood in a magic hula hoop, okay? And the hula hoop is cut in half. The real golden area that I'm trying to get this feeling of this throw motion is technically in this section down here, okay? It's not up all the way up here. So I think some people interpreted that you've got to do it all the way around your body, so that when you swing the golf club, it's got to go all the way back and get to this position here. Well, that's shut, that's closed, okay? And it's not viable to swing it very well from there, okay? And then all the way on the way through as well, you've got to try and scoop it this way, and it's too manual. It's too manual to do that. So the golden area is just in that section down here. So just when I'm swinging, just back here to through, and it's just hip height to hip height basically. That's where the golden area is. So I'm just going to feel that motion here and then through here. Okay, so just back and just through there. And the ball's going to go straight every time, and I'm releasing the club that way. Now, so it's really important you understand that. So there is rotation in the swing is what I'm trying to say. But for that first part, for this section here to here, it feels like I'm just throwing the wrist, okay? Or you throwing the club basically, as opposed to turn it, all right? And that's what we're trying to counteract. Once it goes past my hands, then it's going to pivot, and it's going to come pivot back down again and pivot on the way through, okay? So that's why it looks like mine pivots, but when I swing through, for example, I go from here, I come down, I hit the ball, I release it this way, and then after that, it then pivots over. Somebody was saying, oh, you know, you do pivot the club. That's because it's starting to pivot in my arm. Okay, my arm's starting to pivot, not the hands. So it's not as I'm stood here and doing that. Okay, used to do that, but I don't do that no more. Okay, and my balls are a lot straighter. I'm not worried about the left-hand side of the course anymore as I used to be. Now, the secondary thing that they mentioned was how they started hitting it fat. Okay, so I had to think about it then. How they hit the ball fat. Well, we see this a lot when people are trying to use the hands, and you will hit it fat to start with because you're manually trying to throw the club too early because you're having to think about it earlier, okay? And also as well, you're not allowing momentum to do its thing, okay? And it's about holding the club loose and light rather than trying to hold it tight and steer it down to the ball. And that's going to mean that you're going to release it too early and you will hit it fat, okay? I'm trying to allow inertia here to work a little bit, so the weight of the club wants to stay there, but my hand wants to go forward, and that creates inertia. A great way to think of it is if I had another ball on the ground, okay, and I was going to throw a ball here, I would time that release up correctly to try and hit the ball on the ground. I want to try and maybe hit just a few inches ahead of the ball rather than actually at the ball itself. So as I come down to here, I would release that early or late at the right time. Whereas if I released it too early, for example, and I did that, obviously I'm going to hit it here, okay? So it's about the timing of the release. There's still an essence of timing in the golf swing, all right? There is no magic cure for that. You have to go out and find that. Simply by throwing a ball at another ball on the ground, you will time that up perfectly, by the way, especially if you use a throw release as opposed to a roll release, okay? You wouldn't even hit the ball. You'd probably hit your ankles and everything. So that's really important you work on that. And the other thing for that as well is once you start to factor in body movement, okay, or I'm pushing away from the momentum with my left hip, my strike will happen later, or my release will happen later in the swing, all right? It doesn't happen, if I just stood there and didn't move my legs at all, it would happen over here somewhere in line with my right hip. Whereas if I start to move forward and get my weight and my body moving correctly, then it will happen in the right place. I hope that answers your questions. I hope if you have any questions, I'm sorry this is a bit different to what I've done before, but this is just about answering a question in comments. I'm happy to do more of these. So if you have any questions about the golf swing you want me to answer, or anything about Mike Malaska's stuff, because you know I'm a Malaska coach, if you have any questions about those, please drop it in the comment below. And please remember to like, subscribe and share this video with your friends. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to go before I can't see anything else because it's really dark out here now. And I'll catch you next week.